Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Fly With Us podcast. This podcast is bringing the art of self-love, self-care, mental health care and protection, life lessons, love lessons, and everything in between. Today, we are joined by a special guest, Taye Uhuru. I'm Lady Bounce.
I am Picket Fence.
All right, you got the mindfulness minute for us today?
Yep. The way to develop the best that is in a man is to appreciate and encourage that man. Word up.
All right. So do you appreciate man?
I do. I try to appreciate all men, even the ones that I might not necessarily gel with. I just let them stick to where they stick to, and I stick to where I stick to.
Now, does that go for women too, or is it just a man thing?
Man, it means mankind.
Hey, I'm just saying, I don't know. You have to be gender specific nowadays.
Well, I'm old, so I keep it the way I keep it, you know.
All right, so we have a special guest. Sir Pickett, would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes, I think you already did that. And let me say your name so I don't want to mess it up. I'll chop up your name.
Taye Uhuru.
Taye Uhuru.
Yeah.
Word up. So thank you for coming to the show today. You are an author, a teacher, and a musician. You've traveled all over the country, and you've traveled around the world, teaching and doing music and being educated around the world. So tell us a little bit about all of that.
Oh, okay. I definitely want to thank y'all for inviting me on the show. It's definitely an honor. I appreciate y'all. You pretty much summed it up. Yeah, I'm a world traveler. I've been to about 70 countries all over the world. I've been to about 20 African countries, 45 states. I do a lot of education, not teaching in the traditional sense, you know what I'm saying? Just volunteering, tutoring, mentoring, giving back, volunteering at orphanages, community centers, giving a lot of social activities and fundraisers, back to school drives, school supply giveaways, donating money, different things like that. Warm winter drives, giving away coats and hats for the needy, you know what I'm saying? Giving away this past Christmas, we gave away bikes and scooters and skateboards and gifts, to kids that was less fortunate, just trying to stay active like that. And I'm a genealogist. I help people research their family's history, in particular African Americans, going into the 1900s, 1800s, 1700s. So I do a lot of research. I collect a lot of old archives and files and data and pictures and different things. And I do educational tours. I take middle school students, high school students. I've taken college students, young adults, elders to different parts of Africa, and just clearing up a lot of misconceptions that we have about the continent.
Now, can you tell us what some of those misconceptions that people in the States might have?
Man, almost everything. Number one is just Africans don't like us. We hear that all the time. They don't like us. They don't want us over there. Things like that. And just from my experience, just from being in America, you know what I'm saying? I never met a Black American that was like, some Africans, they rode up on me and they jumped me. They was throwing up gang signs, or they shot up my house, or they robbed me, or, and we see things with Black people getting shot 20, 30 times with no gun, getting choked to death, somebody putting a knee on their neck for 9 minutes, or even the things we do to ourselves. So, if Africans don't like us, what do we call what other groups of people are doing to us every single day? And like I say, just from my experience from going to 15, 20 African countries, they always made me feel welcome. I never had one incident where they was like, we don't like Americans. Why are you here? Go back home. It's always love. People inviting me into their homes, beautiful homes. You know what I'm saying? Some Africans got money. You see Bentleys and Benzes and BMWs in Africa. They got iPhones. They got technology. They got malls that look better than our malls. They got brand new malls. They got roads that's paved. They got beautiful women, beautiful people, some of the most beautiful people you will ever see. And another thing is, we generalize Africa as one place. It's a continent, yes, but it's the most diverse continent in the world. It's almost 3,000 ethnic groups in Africa. It's more countries in Africa than any other continent in the world. So we may look at the news or Fox or CNN and be like, oh, it's a war in Nigeria, but it's 50 other countries, You know what I'm saying? Or it's Ebola, or it's AIDS, or rape, or disease. Africa is always portrayed as being a violent place. But if you do your research, it's public information, you'll see that there are dozens of African countries, several African countries, that are far safer than the United States, and even some European countries, places like London. Lower mass shootings, lower gun violence, less murder, less, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature.
So what are some of the countries that you visited in Africa?
Man, let me see. I've been to South Africa. I lived in South Africa. I've been to Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Madagascar, Seychelles, Comoros, Kenya, Ethiopia, Egypt, Morocco, Senegal, Ghana, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, just to name.
Now, when you take your tours, are you going to specific countries, or it just depends on how the tour is set up on what country you're going to?
Well, it's flexible. So it's 7 different tours. So like I mentioned earlier, Africa is very diverse. So just imagine if you go from New York to LA to, say, Mississippi or somewhere. It's so different. You know what I'm saying? The people talk different and look different. Or even if you go to Mexico or Jamaica or Canada or Haiti, all of these places are in North America, and the language is different. The weather is different. The laws, the people look different. Africa is probably 10 times more diverse than that. So I have a tour to Egypt, for example. It's more focused on the ancient African history going back 1,000 years, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 years. So we take people to the Valley of the Kings, the Valley of the Queens, Hatshepsut's Temple, Temple of Karnak, Temple of Luxor, Abu Simbel, Aswan, the Sphinx, the Pyramids of Giza. And they can see the greatest structures that this world has ever seen, built by Black people. And when they go inside, they see people with dark skin and afros and braids, because due to the movies, they don't look like that in the movies. They showing Julius Caesar as if he built a lot of these things. And then we go to Ghana. So Ghana is a different tour that's more focused on the transatlantic slave trade, because a lot of people, want closure. They want to know what happened to us, because we don't know. They don't teach us. We just kind of got this narrative that all Africans sold other Africans into slavery. And that's not the case. So we go to the door of no return. We go to the slave dungeons, the slave castles, the slave ports. You know what I'm saying? Because some people believe that it didn't even happen. So we talk to some of the tribes, and we learn about the Ashanti. We learn about the Kente cloth, the Dinkra printing. And, we even learn about Africans that was fighting to stop slavery, the Africans that fought the whites. They don't teach us that, the wars and the battles that they had. So each tour is basically, what I'm saying, is different. It's a different focus. So you can pick your own tour. Some people want to go to one country. Some people may want to go to more than one country. You go to 2 countries. You can stay for a week, you can stay for 3 weeks. So you can do a payment plan. You can go any time of the year. It's flexible. If you want to plan for 5 years from now, 3 years from now, you can make payments.
Yeah, that's dope. That's real dope. Real dope. Now, are you doing this yourself, or do you have like a company or organization on how you're doing this?
I started my own company, but for the most part, I organize everything. I go along with the people on the tours. I'm with them every day, because most people, they want to travel to places like Africa, but they may not have anybody to go with. And by me being well experienced, they trusted me to, get them to these places and show them around. But over the years, I've made many friends, and, I network with people. So, for example, we may go to Egypt, and I got a guy, he's a cameraman. I got another guy, he has a hotel, or this guy, he runs the museum, and I kind of connect them, and they can meet people that actually live there and get that experience, to get a cultural experience as well as the history, so.
Word up.
So I have to know, what is the best place you have visited and why? What makes it the best?
Man, I mean, continent-wise, Africa for sure. It's hard to pick a favorite one though. I like Cape Verde. That's on the west side. It's like 10 islands. It's hot all year, low population, low crime, low cost of living. The American dollar is real strong out there. Ghana was amazing. Ghana's fun and exciting. South Africa is beautiful, very, very beautiful and exciting. Ethiopia, the east side is nice too. It's hard to say, man. It's tough.
Hard to pick one.
Yeah, definitely.
So, tell us about your book that you just dropped.
Okay, yeah. I just wrote my first book. It's called The Afro Set. So Afro in the 1960s was used as a term for African, not the hairstyle. People think the hairstyle like Afro, but my uncle, he co-founded the Afro Set, and this was during the 1960s. This was during the Black Power movement, when a lot of black people were talking about self-defense and things like that. So it was a self-defense organization. They went to a farm. They did military drills. They trained with rifles, handguns, machetes, sticks, and different things like that. But they're very educational. They were at the forefront of reintroducing Black Americans to African history, African culture, African language, African music, and African fashion. So they opened up these shops and they would sell things like dashikis and necklaces and earrings, and, paintings and sculptures and different things like that. And they had a lot of social programs. They would have free breakfast, free lunch. They opened up a nursery for the kids in the community. They opened up a theater. They would do a lot of plays, poetry readings, musical performances. They held fashion shows. They would wear their African garments because this was new to a lot of African Americans. You know what I'm saying? Like back then, you ain't had an internet. You know what I'm saying? They just had like old black and white films, and it was always half naked Africans and stuff, negative images and things like that. The Afro said they did a lot of positive things in the community. They enforced community policing. So when people came in the community, if they were snatching purses, if they were selling drugs, if they was pimping, they would confront them and they'd run them out the community. Even the police, the white police, when they caught them brutalizing people or abusing people, they would, step up to them. So it's a very exciting book. You know what I'm saying? It's rebellions, it's riots, it's shootouts, and a lot of, very, very important history.
Now, where was this located at?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. That's dope. Man, yeah, that's dope. That's history that people need to know about. And what made you decide to write this book besides being a relative of the person that started?
Man, I mean, like you say, outside of it being my uncle and my family's history, most people don't know about the Afro Set, not even in Cleveland. If you ask somebody, they would be like, who is that? Unless they was around back then, because, they had a strong code of silence. But, by it being almost 50, 60 years since it's passed, I know a lot of the elders. I interviewed almost 100 people, for this book. So I sat down with people that was there, people that was, trying to liberate Black people. But it's interesting because, you look at the pictures in the newspaper articles, and even my uncle, they was like teenagers, they was kids, they was young adults. But now these people are like elders, they great grandparents and things like that. So they just kind of chose me, like, man, you the one that we trust to tell this story. So I'm doing my best to try to get this information out to people, and then I think there's a lot of information in there that will help change people's lives, especially African Americans. But it's a book for everybody. It's American history as well.
Word up.
Wow. So because we have similar, some of the things that we do are very similar. In my day job, I'm an intervention specialist, which is a special education teacher. So this work is definitely a calling, because it's not something that you do for the love of pay. It is something you definitely do for the love of heart. So what led you into, your career of serving the people, especially young people?
Oh man, I don't know. I think it just all started with my family, just giving me a strong foundation on my mom's side. And my great grandfather, he was from Atlanta, and he migrated to Cleveland during the Great Migration. That's when all of the Blacks started leaving the South for better opportunities. So when he got to Cleveland in the 1920s, he joined the UNIA. That was Marcus Garvey's movement, and he became a follower. So I never met my great grandfather, but my grandmother would tell me about him when I was young. He told her that we are Africans and we should go back to Africa and we should love our people and love Black history, and Black is beautiful. So I got all of those things kind of young. I mean, she was a kid at the time, but she did go to some of the meetings. She did go to some of the parades. She told me about the raising of the red, black, and green flag, different things that she saw coming up. And then her son, which is my uncle, he started his own group. That was in the 1960s. And my mom, she would tell me about her brother and all the work that he was putting in to change the community and the people that they help. And just by interviewing different people, they just told me how he was always giving back, how he was always helping people, you know what I'm saying? And he just built a strong legacy. So at a young age, I just always admired African people, Black people, history, and just trying to make a change and help as many people as I can.
That's dope. It's real dope.
That is.
So you're also an artist, musical artist. Tell us about how you got into that.
That started when I was young, man, just growing up around hip hop, having older brothers and older cousins living with me. My dad, he had a record collection, so they was always buying records, playing music, having house parties, so even when I was young, I was exposed to it. So I got to hear Scarface, the Ghetto Boys, Boogie Down Productions, Ice Cube, Rakim, and Slick Rick and KRS-One. So just looking at them albums and hearing the music, that always inspired me. But I kind of started writing my raps when I was like in elementary, 5th or 6th grade, but then once I got into high school, then we started making songs and having hooks and making beats and recording them on tapes and stuff. Then we got to the CDs and the technology and different things like that. So to this point, I've been able to use my music, as I travel around the world. I've worked with artists in Amsterdam, South Africa, Brazil, Dominican Republic. So I've been in studios all over the world. I've shot music videos. My last music video, I shot in South Africa, in Johannesburg. This was during the pandemic. I lived in this community called Maboneng. And it's a very unique place. I've never been to a place like this, but it's a lot of artists, like dancers, singers, poets, producers, drummers, singers, painters, drawers, every type of artist you could think of. They come to this community and they showcase their talents, and a lot of them live in the community. So I had an apartment building there, and even though everything was shut down, I was still able to write my songs, record my songs. I was able to shoot a music video because a lot of these people lived in my building. So, that kind of inspired me. And then going out into the community, there was a lot of different paintings in this area. It's a very colorful place, but there's paintings of people like Marcus Garvey, Nelson Mandela, Steve Biko, Assata Shakur, Rosa Parks. So I wrote this song called Do Revolutionaries Go to Heaven? So that's something that just kept my spirits up and continues to help me, when I'm stressed out or depressed, or, I can always write music.
I like that. So as Picket Fence, is an artist, you are an artist. Who's in your top 5? If you had to pick your top 5 of all time MCs, who's in your top 5?
Man, that's tough. Just my 5 favorite, or the 5 greatest, or what?
Either one.
Your 5 favorite.
Your 5 favorite.
Okay, my 5 favorite. Okay, Tupac would be on there for sure. Nas would be on there. Scarface. Too Short. One more.
Mm-hmm.
Top 5 favorite. All right. I put Bone Thugs and Harmony. They from Cleveland and they put it on the map. They in that top 5.
You gotta rep the hometown. Word up. So now, do you have an album out also?
No, not right now. I just been kind of doing singles because everything changing, man. And so it's kind of like, I don't even know where music going as far as like not being able to perform or not being able to interact with people. I mean, things are opening back up. So I just kind of just do songs and singles. So a lot of stuff I haven't even put out, but every now and then I do have several videos on YouTube. Like I dropped 2 videos last year. I did Do Revolutionaries Go to Heaven, and I wrote The Blacker the Berry, the Sweeter the Juice. So if anybody want to check me out, there's some dope videos. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I had a chance to check both of them out. Both pretty dope and some thought-provoking videos. And and for me, that's what's important in a video, is something that makes you think. So dope, real dope.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I definitely appreciate thinking music as somebody who works with young people, and I listen to the things that they listen to just so I can have a frame of reference.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta be honest, when I'm in my car or when I'm just listening to my headphones, the stuff that they listen to is nowhere near my playlist.
Right.
So I can definitely appreciate some grown-up hip-hop, if you will, some intelligent sounding hip-hop, because again, after I've listened to their music at some point during the day, I have to like cleanse my palate at the end of the day. So your music definitely did that for me. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you were talking about stress, depression, and anxiety, those type of things that could come along with life.
Hmm.
What do you do for yourself for self-care?
Man, you got to do a lot of stuff. It ain't no one way. I mean, at least for me,
Right. Right. But what would you say is your favorite thing to do?
I don't know, maybe writing. You know what I'm saying? Because like I say, sometimes your mind be racing, constantly going, and things happening in the world, things happening to people you know, you seeing things on TV. So sometimes you just gotta kind of get away. I mean, that helps for me, like writing a rap, listening to beat, like I'm focused in. You know what I'm saying? The beat is playing, and I'm focused on writing a rap, so it kind of slows things down, and I feel empowered and creative. I'm controlling the narrative. I can write about whatever I want to. I can pick my own beat. So writing music helps me a lot. Listening to music, listening to other artists, you know what I'm saying? That helps me a lot. Sometimes you gotta meditate, man. You know, put some jazz music on or do it without it and do the deep breathing. Just, you know, say your ABCs and breathe in and breathe out. Maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes, however long it takes, just to try to, you know, clear your mind. Going outside, I go outside every day, man. Go for a walk, you know, at least 30 minutes, 15 minutes. And then sometimes I jog if you can get your exercise in. That help too, you know, to clear your mind and just take your mind off the stress. It's just a lot of stuff you can do, you know, try to keep yourself busy. But then sometimes you got to take a step back. You know what I'm saying? Eating healthy, that helps. You know, if you taking the time to cook something, like I cook with a lot of fruits and vegetables, I got to chop up peppers, I got to wash them off. I chop up tomatoes and onions and garlic and spinach and carrots and making smoothies and bananas and stuff. That stuff takes time when you're making real food. So you occupied, but it's doing something positive and constructive. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, word up. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. As Pickett is on his vegan journey, I fully understand with the chopping of the onions and the peppers and the blender going and combinations of things going in a blender that seem like they shouldn't go together, but then they end up tasting all right. So I'm definitely familiar with that. So I like all of those things that, you know, that you mentioned for self-care, but the one thing that kept blaring is just clear your mind. So whatever is going to clear your mind, which we say a lot on our show, is do what feels good. And when your mind is clear, everything else, it just does it feels good to you. It falls in place. So I love that. Clear your mind. I like it.
Word up. So we're coming close to the end of our set. So I want to get into my favorite part of the show, which is brain science.
All right, so our brain science today is inspired by our guest who gives back in many, many ways. And you definitely have to come back on the show because we didn't even get into some of the other stuff that you do because it's only a 30-minute show. So you have to promise to come back.
Oh, yeah, it's honor.
So our brain science today is the brain areas that benefit from giving back in social support. So when you give back, you have reduced stress-related activities in your dorsal anterior, which is here, your cingulate cortex, which is in the middle, and the right anterior insula of your brain, and your right amygdala, which is back here. So you also get a greater reward-related activity in the left and the right side of your brain. It feels good when you give back. It feels good when you do for others. And then you get a greater sense of caregiving. When you are caring for others, it helps you to care for yourself, and then others care for you in return. So your brain is getting those feel-good hormones all the time when you give back. So in all of these areas, for example, researchers found that while performing a stressful or mental math task, participants who gave the most support to other people had reduced activation in their brain areas related to their stress responses. So even though these people were under stress while performing this task, because they were helping somebody else, it released the stress from their brain. So that is amazing and incredible. So your brain science, do something for somebody else. It makes you feel good in return. Those people will do something for you.
Word up. I like that.
Thank you. You broke it down scientifically.
Word up. So before we get out of here, I want to make sure you let the people know where they can get your book.
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely. If anybody have any questions about the tours, the book, the music, you know, everything I do, I got a website. It's Camp Cleveland campcleveland.org. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I'm on YouTube, TikTok, and my handle is Camp Cleveland, CAMP Cleveland.
Word up, and we'll be sure to put that in the show notes. So if anybody wants to reach out to you, they'll be able to, get up with you and get in touch with you and support you, because you're doing good, and we have to support people that are doing good for our community. So we definitely are supporting you, and we're gonna make sure people hear about you.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all. It's been an honor. I'm definitely gonna be back on the scene.
Yes,
Word up,
definitely.
word up, word up. Well, that's the show for today. I'm your boy Picket Fence.
I'm Lady Bounce. Picket, tell them where to find us.
You can find us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. We're also on Facebook, IG, Twitter, and all the other social networks. Except we're not TikTok. We're still thinking about TikTok, but you can definitely find us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook. Remember to fly with us. First, love yourself. Fill your cup up so you can fill someone else's up. Word up. We out of here.
Peace.
Peace.